What is going on, everyone? Mr. Mom Collectibles. I am back with another video. So my wife asked me, I got some stuff I gotta throw out for garbage day tomorrow. So I figure I'd make this video. Should be a quick one, but a fun one. So Hot Toys undeniably makes some great stuff, but as great as they are, they definitely fall short on some things. They're not perfect, no company is, and I don't claim anyone makes anything perfect or does anything perfect. That being said, something that is almost always a hit or miss with 90% of Hot Toy figures, and it pisses me off. And we're gonna get into that video today, where I'm gonna be counting down the top 5 Hot Toys bases that are just utter shit. And if you are wondering, I did edit this video pretty heavily, because my free throw game is just like Shaq's. So I didn't want to embarrass myself too much, more than I normally do. And for those that are wondering, are going to be trolls, yeah, my nails are pink. My daughter painted them. All right, guys, so as I said, I got my garbage can ready, and we are going to be talking about the top 5 shittiest Hot Toy bases. So now what I did is I went through and just pulled out 5 bases, and I'm gonna try to do it from 5 being the least shitty to number 1 just being shitty. Definitely drop a like on this video below, consider subscribing to the channel, and more importantly, drop a comment below and let me know what base to you or bases are just flat out shitty from Hot Toys. And every time you see a brand new figure announcement and you see that base, it just pisses you off. All right, guys, so the first base on my list is gonna be this right here. This is from the Spider-Man Homecoming, the Iron Man Mark 47, that silver and red. I just never liked this base at all. I know a lot of other figures have utilized this one over time. I just don't like the nameplate on it, how really you can't see it. It's all just a silver laser engraved. And then also on this one, I really hated how certain figures had the crotch grabber system like that. It was definitely a little bit different, and not a lot of things could interchange to it. Overall, it's just bland. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't really do anything for the figure. It doesn't elevate the figure, in my opinion. So number 5 is going to be this thing. Yep, whatever. Number 5 will be this. Now, base number 4. So now base number 4 is something that may not come up as often, but with certain figures, it just totally screams repurpose. I mean, it's hard not to know if you have a couple figures, but it's this big square monstrosity. This one specifically is the Batman Forever Robin, as well as the Batman from Batman Forever comes with it also, as well as, to my recollection, the Golden Armor Wonder Woman. And more notably to me is the 1989 Batman, the DX, the Joker, you know, those versions had this, as well as I believe also an alternated version of the DX19 base that had like the snow and everything on it, so they try to class it up. It's just an ugly garbage base. It is obviously reused because you can see here on this version compared to some, these little lights here were supposed to light up, but in this case they don't. They even left the battery compartment and just closed it shut, so there's no wiring inside this. Obviously it was a way to cut corners because you could just put out a base that looked nice, but ultimately had no functionality to it. And you see these pieces actually still do turn right there, but the lights themselves, can't use them. So my number 4 shitty base is going to be this guy right here. All right, so we're down to the top 3. These top 3, in my opinion, are arguably, I think they can be mixed around. This is where the comments are gonna get interesting. For number 3, I'm gonna go with a base that's pretty common amongst a lot of Star Wars figures, but Star Wars is slowly moving away from it, and that is the rectangle base. Now, this base is just fucking annoying for me to see. I know a lot of people hated this one. This one is specifically from the original Mandalorian. This one here is just annoying as shit, just because, once again, from a business point of view, it's easy to repurpose this thing. It's just a rectangle and put whatever top you want on it. I know for Star Wars, we were getting a lot of these sand bases with the imprints of the boots, even when it made no sense, when there was like droids. But this thing has been repurposed time and time again into other figures where you could just put a piece of plastic over it and change the top scenery if you wanted to. For example, let's see, I got a couple of them. There's this piece right here, another version of it, and this is in fact the latest Mace Windu, which you can see it's the same base, just has a different imprint on top. Or how about we go with this base here, which is from the Batman, which works with the steps. The plaque here can be interchanged. There's the Batman, and we also have let's see, this is Bo-Katan with the ramp on it. As you can see, this one takes a flight pole. So they've obviously repurposed this thing time and time again with different versions. Honestly, these things are just absolute pure garbage, and that's where they go. Number two and number one are so hard for me. I can't figure out which one I hate, honestly, more. And when I look at that, what gets me most aggravated is when I see an announcement for a figure, I ultimately, once I digest everything with the figure, I definitely care about what kind of base it has, whether or not it works with other figures, or what's the thought process behind it. If they put a lot of work into the figure, they'll usually skimp us on the base. However, Hot Toys has been doing a lot of dioramas recently, just still very inconsistent, and I'll touch on that. And that is, number two is the fucking dreading, this thing is just the Octagon base. I hate this base so much. So many figures come with this. Most noticeably, the Spider-Man No Way Home line had a lot of these. I hate this base so much. Depending on the figure, I think it's terribly unbalanced. Depending on what you're doing with the flight pole, it doesn't offer a lot of stability. It's ugly as hell. The only caveat to this that I know people will say is that if you have multiples of this, you can interlock them like a honeycomb pattern if you want. That's awesome. Not for me. That's not enough to save this base. It's used so many times over. I can guarantee that there's definitely a figure that you have that has this base, and it just sucks. It really does. It's oftentimes the go-to default, the square one, the rectangle one, I mean. It's often just the default that a lot of figures get. In this case, it's the Spider-Man from the PS game, the original advanced suit, and that one is in the trash. All right, guys, so the final base in my countdown is one that does not come up that often anymore. But when it does, it pisses me off because it's cheap, it's large, obnoxious, takes up a lot of space, and it's just pure lazy from Hot Toys. Like I said, not many figures have it anymore. Most notably, the collector's edition of the Jack Sparrow from the Artisan has this, the basic version, and as well as the new 2.0 Darth Maul. They reused the same base again. They gave us a lot of updates with that figure, but when it came to the base, one of those examples of a lot of the work went into the figure, and they said screw it on the base. So that one is going to be, and that's the Diamond base, and this is the Falcon from Captain America. It's just, like I said, it's huge, takes up a lot of space on the shelf. There's like next to no figures that really use it that often, so you can't go with like the honeycomb situation or these rectangle bases where you could butt them up to each other to kind of make a pattern or make a design. It's literally a one-off kind of piece. Like I said, not a lot of figures use it anymore. I try not to use it as much. My Falcon is on a different base, so I'm not even using this thing, as well as my Maul. I don't use that either. He's just standing in a museum pose, and so this is just one I don't use at all. I'm going to figure something out with the speeder as well, with the 2.0, because I really don't want to use it just because it's a space hog on the shelf. And like I said, nothing really kind of jives with it, so it stands out on its own. There's other figures I know that use it, but it's just a piece of shit. And these are going to be going in the trash to the front for garbage day. All right, so that was my top 5 shittiest bases from Hot Toys. Now, I'm not normally a base person. Hot Toys is getting me with the dioramas. Those I try to work into my display. Or what I'll do with dioramas is I'll mix and match them with other figures. So Hot Toys is starting to break through with diorama pieces. I think the base to a figure really tells a story, and I do think it's one that Hot Toys overlooks, especially if they put more work into the figure. They find a way to cut corners, and the base is definitely going to be the thing to suffer, which sucks for the collector. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Drop a like on this video, and let me know your your top, you know, it doesn't have to be 5, but if there's definitely 1 or 2 bases you just hate seeing when Hot Toys does an announcement, let me know in the comments below. But until then, this is Mr. Mom Collectibles saying take care, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Acknowledge me!